And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok, era disattivato il microfono. Vabbè, nulla comunque, siamo in live, siamo su questo nuovo gioco.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Meeting room però non lo so. No, questo non credo sia la meeting room.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ok, che cazzo è sto gioco? Facciamo le porte, no. Ok, con X fa cose.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Ci sta. No, non mi fa più andare.
Yes, really. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
La prima porta a sinistra. Non c'è nessun'altra porta a sinistra, credo. Si fa.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Boh, secondo me sto facendo cose a cazzo. Non lo sapremo mai.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Oh, vabbè, ho mandato in confusione il gioco.
We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now.
Guarda le
This story is
conclusioni di gioco.
absolutely, definitely this way.
Incredibile, a me prima era già mandato in conclusioni di gioco. Stanno là, dietro.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Buggato il gioco. Cioè, no, buggato. Ho fatto altre scelte molto discutibili.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Vabbè, andiamo a sinistra. Come aveva predisposto prima. Documenti a terra. Molto strano sto gioco, devo dire. Tutto ciò sto fumando. Siamo entrati da sinistra, siamo usciti a destra, mi sembra totalmente giusto.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
È bello perché ti fa sentire... No, ok. Qua mi devo abituare alle nuove...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ripeto, credo che ho buggato il gioco.
It's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd missed something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Cazzo, se lo dici tu, fratello. Che posso dirti? Hai dato tu il gioco.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't
Stiamo
quite
andando in
recall
pappa al
what I believe
cervello.
my...
Faccio abbassiamo un attimo il volume di sto stronzo. Oh cazzo sta l'audio. Lingua italiana, campo visivo, sensibilità della telecamera. Non posso abbassare. Ah, ecco audio.
This is
Volume
the
alto.
story of a man named Stanley.
Ok, mettiamo
This is the story of a man...
così. Applicata.
The story took place in an office building. Is that correct?
Così mi sentite
Do you
anche a
remember,
me.
Stanley? Well, do
Non
you know
ricordo un
what?
cazzo.
Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Ho vinto! Che ho fatto?
Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
È la terza volta che restarta. Cioè, Dio mio, credo sia...
All right,
To start
I've got a
Adventure Line.
solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Cioè, mi ha messo in difficoltà facile
You
praticamente.
see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Mi daranno il copyright sicuro. Quindi, audio, volume musica. Mettiamo a 15. Che cazzo è qua? Dove cazzo mi sta portando? Adesso non ho presettato nulla perché è la prima volta che lo avvio anch'io. Non ho visto neanche un trailer di sto gioco del cavolo. Cazzo mi sta portando.
Wait, cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story.
Me lo spoileri
Make
così.
sure you study it
Terribile.
closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Mi sta mandando in pappa il cervello. Cioè mi sta facendo seguire sempre sta cosa.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Svilupatore, tutti
Now,
si è fatto
yes,
tante canne.
this is exciting.
C'è un
Just me
cazzo.
and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Mandano in pappa il gioco. Posso vedere gli obiettivi di sto gioco molto bello. Switch, no, questa è la Switch. Trofei. Ottieni Tieni premio per aver vinto il trofeo per la prima volta. Finisce Stanley Parable, esci dal gioco e poi riavvialo. Gioca per l'intero martedì. Clicca sulla porta di 430 volte in meno di 4 minuti, esclusi i tempi di caricamento. Da giocare a Stanley Parable per 10 anni. È implatinabile questo gioco.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
Meno
How
male.
important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin.
Sta fa proprio le
So
pippe
starting
mentali.
from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Finale della confusione.
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
Sei tu lo
So now,
sviluppatore, non
according to
io.
the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped. Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Ok. Siamo di nuovo qui.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ok, non ho letto nulla. Bloom... Che cazzo era quel rumore?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Minchia, si tratta bene il capo. E che si chiude... Vabbè, questo è il cesso del capo. Animale.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
Un
But of
845.
course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Allora, è un gioco molto mentale, cioè o scegli tu quello che devi fare oppure segui la trama. Anche se a questo punto nei precedenti 20 minuti abbiamo rotto il gioco, anche se era tutto programmato. Un casino praticamente. Beh, vediamo qua. Meno male che con la Play 5
Realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
che cazzo è? Ah, elettricità.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. Vabbè, seguiamo la storia per adesso. E il narratore ha smesso di parlare?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Non si vede un cazzo.
But here
Un
was the
cazzo sono
proof,
adesso.
the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Va bene, gioco. Secondo me
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
ti fa azzeccare una parola
Was it
con
over?
questo qua. Non posso muovermi.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth
Secondo me
knowing.
più altro è uno schermo
Stanley
questo,
stepped
se no
through the open door.
non mi spiego. Cioè, non mi fa manco passare per...
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Non avete sentito nulla. Finisci il gioco, trofeo guadagnato. Ottieni il tuo primo trofeo, ci sta pure. C'è il fatto che tu possa finire il gioco in nulla proprio, cioè perché effettivamente 26 minuti di live sono abbastanza poche.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Boh, e a sto punto provo a mettere on, a sto punto facciamoci tutto di fretta. Vediamo un attimo.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
C'è più che altro.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Cioè, perché tu effettivamente lo gioco puoi finire subito. Non dico in 4 minuti,
Stepping
però.
into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
No, fra, più che altro vorrei avanzare nel gioco.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
È molto strano, cioè devo dire la verità, è un gioco molto strano. Dove cazzo ho messo la mia Icos? Cioè è un gioco più pressoché mentale, credo. Cioè è la stessa cosa che sto dicendo praticamente mezz'ora. Di finire questa run, o stacco la live, vado su Hitman, o seguite con me la storia di God of War.
Through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Vabbè, a questo punto vediamola, cioè vediamo i pari finali.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?